billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. I greet you, my brothers and sisters, with the noble and universal greeting of peace. The greeting that has been used by the prophets and messengers of our universal creator, Almighty Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shukr to Allah. It's the first Friday of the year 2024. It is the 5th day of January 2024. We have had another year of every Friday lectures. Shukr to Allah. We've been given that privilege to be alive and the opportunity to draw closer to Him. And with the will of God, it is my intention to be here every Friday and to remember our Creator together, and to do so with a particular focus. I'd like to focus this year in terms of my work on results, like, outcomes, like what is it exactly that I am about, and what is it exactly that I'm supporting for myself, results or outcomes that I'm supporting for myself, and so that others can know if that's something that they want to be supported with and allow themselves to be supported with those particular outcomes. So as I reflect, as the Quran says, reflect, ponder, contemplate, remember the Quran is encouraging us to operate at a higher level of humanity. That when we are not operating at a higher level of humanity, if we are not reflecting, contemplating, the Quran says this is a book for people who reason. The Quran says this is a book for those who contemplate. You know what I mean? So it's not a book for everybody. Now you'll understand why not everybody really appreciates the Quran the way those who reason appreciate the Quran. Anyway, what is my focus? What is it that I want to support myself in experiencing this year? What is it that I want for me? And the Quran tells us that what it means to live in this world and be a winner. It tells us who are the losers and who are the winners in this world. The Quran tells us plainly that we are here for a certain purpose. And that purpose is for us to become aware of our Creator and to experience security with our Creator. So we are here and we have the opportunity to have Iman in our hearts. Now I know you know what I'm going to say, that the Quran tells us, do not say that you are a believer, for faith has not entered into your heart. Speaking to those who had, submitted their will in Islam, but it tells them that, you are not believers. Don't say you're the believers. You're not yet believers. Faith has not entered into your heart. So I want to be very clear that this is not about me just saying, oh, I believe in Allah. This is about me being aware of Allah. You get what I mean? People have beliefs about Allah without them actually being aware of Allah. Some of these beliefs are in error. People have beliefs about Allah and they're mushriks, and others are hypocrites. They say they believe in Allah and the last day, but they don't. And, some are off track in their beliefs. And then some might have beliefs of Allah that is true, but they might not have the awareness of Allah. See, verily in the remembrance of Allah, hearts experience assurance. See, so it's talking about awareness of Allah, and when you become aware of Allah, there's a corresponding experience. So my purpose for this year is to strengthen my awareness of Allah, to be more aware of Allah, and to have a more intense experience of awareness of Allah, and thus to be more experiencing of assurance, okayness. I want to have a more intense experience. You get what I mean? So I have spoken for years inviting people to to truth, to haqq. Because the Quran says by the end of the day, human beings are in a state of loss, except those who have faith and conduct themselves honorably and guide others to truth and patient perseverance. And so I have, for many, 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 many years, I've been doing this for over 10 years, speaking in the mosques and speaking on radio, Muslim radio stations and all that, for over 25 years or so. But on the topic of Iman, real Iman, I've been speaking. But I haven't been speaking, as much as I've been speaking in the last 5 years or so about Iman and what it means as through my experience of my journey into Iman, and experiencing Iman in my heart. And so I've been telling people about becoming aware of Allah. And I'm done with telling people. Now I want to talk to those people who have heard me. And if you haven't heard me before, there's literally hundreds of programs, on Spotify. Literally hundreds of programs. The past 3-4 years, every Friday lecture is there. So from this year, I can't keep talking to people and, trying to get them to want to be aware or experience. I'm going to speak to those who actually want to be aware and are choosing to be aware. And like me, they have been experiencing peace or assurance. They've been into some kind of experience within their being. Verily, in the remembrance of Allah, hearts experience assurance. Whether you call it tranquility, whatever you want to call it, that if you are aware of Allah, really aware, then you will in your heart experience tranquility. If you're aware of Allah, your heart responds, to your awareness of Allah. That's in the Quran. Your heart flutters when you hear the name of Allah, mentioned. There's a response that comes from us. So I don't want to keep forcing people to say, you're not aware, why don't you become aware, you should become aware, and all that sort of thing. No. I think for this year and going forward, I want to speak to those who willingly and happily choose Iman in their hearts. Not that they think they want Iman in their heart, but choose Iman in their heart because they support having Iman in their hearts. That's what audience I want to speak to this year. And I speak to you in this platform because I was explaining to you in the last lecture of last year, last Friday of 2023, that it is very sad that in the mosques, that what is the current narrative and the ways of actually what they talk about and what they've been talking about for decades has no relevance to Iman in the hearts. And I was saying to you that sometimes in the mosques, if you have to speak about the truth, that where we are as human beings and what our purpose is, and seeing the error of our ways and correcting these errors, that we are to live with Iman, Amal, support a life, Tayyibun, and you start pointing out that those who claim to pervade the truth in the mosques are not really purveying the truth. You know what I mean? Those who are there in the platforms, they're not really guiding humanity to the guidance of the Quran, that we are to actually become God aware, Allah aware. We are actually to experience security. They're not supporting that. That's not a message that you can actually speak in a mosque. How strange is that? And I explained it to you. It's because the Guru system of India has been running rampant for a century and plus in the Muslim community. That it's not really about the Quran. They're not there really guiding people to the liberation teaching that is the revelation, that is the Quran. They're not guiding people to Iman in their hearts. They're not. They're not guiding people to reason and to reflect and to ponder. They're not. They're not guiding people to Allah and to experience that connection with Allah. They're not guiding people to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and how he was as a human being, an exemplar to humanity. They're not doing that, In some mosques, they would never allow me to go in because I didn't have a beard. That is the standard in some mosques. If you want to give a lecture, you must have a beard. You get what I mean? Now, what does that tell you? I know what it told me. You know what I mean? That this is what they're not interested in your behavior. Are you like the Prophet? Are you doing the things that the Prophet really did? Did you stand for truth and for humanity? He was called As-Sadiq Al-Amin, the honest, the trustworthy. He was a humanitarian. He benefited human beings. He guided truth. They're not interested in that. Ashraf, is your message about Allah and guiding people to Allah? No. Is your message about the Prophet and exposing the truth of the Prophet as a leader of humanity that there's never been and never? No. Is your message about the Quran and how it benefits humanity? No. Is your message about Islam and how Islam is a favor to humanity? They don't ask you these questions. You get what I mean? They don't ask you are you actually, in your communication with people, are you supporting them to go beyond superstition, ignorance, and arrogance? Are you guiding human beings to a higher level of functioning? They won't ask you any of these questions. This is what it'll point out to you, that the mosques and the kind of state of the situation in the mosques. You get what I mean? And you can only imagine what is preached in the mosques is just keeping people in control. You get what I mean? Just follow what we tell you to follow. Just do what we tell you to do. You must follow us religious expertise. You get what I mean? So there's no real teaching that is happening in the mosque. So somebody might say, well, the real teaching was supposed to happen in the madrasas. Can you really teach to a child's mind? Can you teach spirituality? Can you teach truth about Allah to a child's mind? Is that what you think it is? So you can begin to see the situation, if you have eyes to see, that the mosques, they are not really places where Allah is remembered and glorified, that the Prophet is honored and admired and is an inspiration to us to aspire to, that the Quran and its message of liberation from satanic trances is preached. We don't hear that there. And what the purpose of humanity is, we're not hearing it there. And the challenge that exists for us while we're here and what it means to be a winner, we're not hearing it there. In this world, through death and beyond, we're not hearing about, there's verses upon verses in the Quran that describe what's going on in the mosques as hypocrisy. The hypocrites. The Quran tells us about who the hypocrites are. We don't hear those verses. We don't hear verses about things that help us and benefit us in a real way, like eat halal and tayyib. We just hear eat halal. And I told you last lecture that when I said to people that we are people who don't eat the pig, but sometimes we eat like pigs, scavengers. Some of the obese Maulana Gurus who are obese, they didn't talk to me after that. They ignored me. They didn't take my calls. Instead of saying, thank you, Ashraf, for teaching us what the Quran is teaching us, that we didn't learn it where we came from, they want to continue in their ways. They want to have only halal, but not tayyib. The Quran says halal and tayyib. You get what I mean? They are these people in the mosque, they are run by the people who pay money. People give them money, so they can't say certain things in the mosque because the people who give them money won't give them money. They have to hide. It's a very sad state of Islam in this country, in our mosques, that you can't speak the truth and you can't give guidance to humanity through the mosques. It's a very sad thing that what is preached there is just keeping the people spiritually illiterate. There's no benefit. Week after week, people just pitch up there. A lot of chaps are just sleeping in the back and their eyes are closed and nodding off, and others are just, in the age regress states in the front line and behaving like little good boys. And yes, we'll follow you, parent figures. You know what I mean? So much so to the fact that a lot of the followers of Islamism have no sense about what our purpose is here. That a lot of people, when they think about spiritual development, they think about which guru is telling us the right thing. And they think spiritual development is a question of which guru to follow. I'll give you an example. So, the young people today, instead of really drawing closer to Allah, experiencing Iman in their hearts, and reasoning and pondering, and choosing to live in a way that benefits themselves and other people, amal, and choosing to go beyond arrogance and superstition and ignorance and to play a role in the world, the young people of today, they're more concerned with matters like, can you pray wearing a t-shirt that says a brand name on it? I'm not going to advertise for any brand. You understand? Can you pray with t-shirts that have brand names? If you pray with t-shirts that have brand names, it's either wrong or right. This is the extent of what young people might believe it means to be a good Muslim. You know why? Because they were schooled in religious expertise. That somebody said to them, we know what's right, and you do what we tell you to do, and that means now you are maturing in your spirituality because you're doing what we tell you that is right. And so one guru will say, of course you can wear a t-shirt that, has a name of a brand. And one guru will say no. And so the young people of today will think we're getting more spiritual because we're doing the right thing. We're wearing the t-shirt that is right to wear, or we're not wearing the t-shirt that is wrong to wear. This is the level of spiritual illiteracy among the young people of today, where the young women of today who have grown up with this kind of religious expertise of guru worship, they think that getting closer to God is now getting and wearing a parda. Now, I'm not saying don't wear a parda. You wear whatever you want to wear. Allah has given you guidance. But what I'm saying is that this is what young girls are thinking to get closer to Allah, is to wear the parda and cover themselves up. I'm not saying that is not something you should do or you shouldn't do. I'm not saying you should wear a t-shirt or not wear a t-shirt with a brand name. I'm just saying this is the level of our young people who they don't know that it is to become aware of Allah and experience security in your heart. That to be a believer is Allah awareness, experiencing in your heart peace. You get what I mean? So there are a lot of people in Islamism, especially those who are from Indo-Pak subcontinent, those who have the unfortunate experience of having guru worship in modified Hinduism as Islam. And they don't know what the purpose of being here. Because look, hypocrites can wear t-shirts of all kinds, and hypocrites can wear pardas and all that sort of thing. You get what I mean? But there are people who don't know. They don't know what hypocrisy is. Nobody has ever explained to them, like perhaps as I explained to you over the last year, that hypocrisy is when you say you believe but you don't believe. You have no awareness of Allah, but you think you do. And you're not experiencing yourself as a secure person. You're still in that insecure state. You're still in the insecure state that all human beings are in this world. If you had a mother and father and you were born into this world, there is for you to become secure. There is for you to remember. There is for you to remember. So there are people who haven't remembered Allah, and they are from other religions. And there are people who haven't remembered Allah. They're still in a state of forgetfulness. And they say they are Muslims. I say Islamism, because they are following something that came through India and is perverted by the Indian guru system, you get what I mean, and the Pandit system, which is very much about telling the people what to do and how to live and what rituals to do and when to do it and what's right and what's wrong. And so you have all these young Indian boys and girls and not so young Indian boys and girls wanting to continue as modified Hindus with their Pandits. And their Pandits and the gurus are not really guiding them to Allah. You get what I mean? So this is the last thing I think I'll ever say about the system that is currently operating out there. I didn't want to say it this time. I wanted to just leave last year alone and say, I'm done with those people, I'm not going to talk about it, but I felt that it's something that I want to mention, that a lot of people who are fitting into Islamism are living in an age regress state. A lot of people who have a little bit of sensibility are beginning to realize this doesn't make sense, you know what I mean? And when you go to other countries, this is something that is quite exposed, where people say those are the mullahs, you know what I mean? They are the mullahs. They just there in their own thing. In this country, people are still very much in the control of the mullahs. You get what I mean? They're still very much thinking in that, you got to be there. Other countries have come to realize these guys, they're not helping. They're not helping. And sadly, a lot of people are lost. When I was in Turkey a few years ago, and I was saying to the guy, I give lectures in the mosque, and he was like, you're a mullah. He said, but you don't look like one, because you could have dressed the part, and you could have that look, and you must carry yourself in the world in that different looking way. I said, no, I give lectures in the mosque. That's what I do. And he was like, I don't go to mosque. I was like, aren't you a Muslim? He says, yes. Then I said, what's going on here? He says, those people are the political puppets. They're political puppets of the state. You go there, you'll get brainwashed into that. So I said, so now where are you getting guidance from? He couldn't answer. You get what I mean? So in this country, people are still there. Maybe in 50 or 100 years, or maybe in this country. See, the Turks are different from Indians. The Indians got caste system and guru worship in their veins for thousands of years. Maybe the Turks are different. But sad for the Turks, they haven't found a replacement of guidance. You get what I mean? They just let it go. They realize this is no good. And there's a lot of young Muslim people are realizing we can't do this. And they might not turn to other religions. They might just secretly say, I think like how people sometimes are gay and they come out and they're outed and they say, you know what, I like to tell you I'm out now, I'm gay. I think there's a lot of Muslim people out there that are just doing the things for their parents and for their society, but they have in their heart, they have no idea of Allah. And some are like, yeah, let's do this and play this game and be a nice little boy and girl. And others are like, no, we can't do this. But we'll do it. And they haven't come out. That they just do it for the sake of pleasing other people. They just do it to fit in. I think a lot of people are there, but they won't admit it. You know what I mean? At least I'm honest. I'll tell you, this is the truth. Shukr to Allah who has guided me. Lucky I didn't turn to human beings. I turned to the Creator, and He has guided me. So, this is the guidance of Allah. All human beings are insecure until you choose to become secure. All human beings are unaware until you choose to become aware. There is for us to become aware of Allah and experience assurance in our hearts. This is the mission. There is for us to go beyond being insecure and experience being secure. We are insecure until we choose to be secure, and if you have that as a ambition, then you will be supported in experiencing being secure. It means you're a non-believer until you're a believer. And I'm not talking about having beliefs about God. I'm talking about actually becoming aware. You get what I mean? The Quran guides us to humility before Allah, not allegiance to gurus. That's Hinduism. Pandits, that's Hinduism. I know some of us can't see the difference because we've grown up in a very unconscious state. But the Quran is a book of liberation and guidance. It's not for everybody. You know, I was listening to somebody, I wrote my first book, so I'm writing a second book. So I listened to things like how to write a book, you know. And this one guy says, no book is for everybody. If you're writing a book, don't say the book is for everybody. And I thought about it and I said, you know, but the Quran is for everybody. And then I thought about it again and then I said, what does the Quran say? This book is for those who reason. This book is for those who contemplate its verses. This book is for those who are actually aware of an unseen world, ghaib. This book is for those who establish a relationship with the unseen. You know, this book is for those who give from what they have been given. So even the Quran, although addressed to humanity, is not for everybody. You understand what I'm saying? That's why people who are forced to read the Quran, who are not interested in what its message is, they will just read it cover to cover in a language they don't understand, because it's not really for them. The Quran says about the munafiqs, those that are not really interested in truth, but think they are, that Allah does not guide them. He does not guide them. There are people who say they are Muslims, but they're not Muslims, and their hearts are diseased and they're astray. And Allah does not guide them. Allah leaves them to stray and their hearts are expanded. You get what I mean? So, not everybody wants to admit we either kufr, we either munafiq or shirk, we're into shirk. Nobody wants to, that's where we start. And it's for us to go beyond that. Nobody wants to admit that. You get what I mean? If you don't admit, I am unconscious, and I am to become conscious. It's not like, hey, I must live in fear of becoming unconscious. You get what I mean? No. There's no like, I must avoid becoming unconscious in the future. No. You are already unconscious. You get what I mean? Now, not everybody wants to accept that. When you don't want to accept that you start off unconscious. Ibrahim alayhi salam was Hanifa. He was in search of the truth, and he was interested in releasing unconsciousness, and you have to follow in his way. The Prophet ﷺ was among his people the first to be guided to truth. You get what I mean? He was also in the way of Hanifa. You get what I mean? He was looking for awareness, guidance, truth. We are all lost. You get what I mean? We are all unaware of Allah until we become aware. There's no such thing as live in fear of becoming unaware of Allah. No. There's no such thing as becoming unaware of Allah. No. We already unaware. There is such a thing as becoming aware of Allah. And this is not spoken about in the mosques. You get what I mean? The most important thing, which is to become more aware and to experience security, to experience peace, the heart that is guided, to experience connection, to experience a peace, a coherence within our being, nur, a vibration of light, of connection, to remember, to go beyond separation, to connect, to experience having Allah with us and for us, interested in us, attentive to us. Becoming aware of Allah, you go beyond the satanic worshipping state of denial of Allah. You get what I mean? Everybody is unaware of Allah until guidance comes to them and they receive that guidance. You get what I mean? A lot of us have been unaware of Allah. Guidance came to them in India, and they took that guidance and they didn't really disperse that guidance. They didn't really dispense that guidance. They took it and they modified it for their purposes. You get what I mean? But nonetheless, the Quran remains intact. Fortunately, it's there. If anybody wants to make a real study of the Quran, if you think what I'm saying is a lie, challenge me. Because I'm only telling you what the Quran says. Do you understand? I'm not telling you what I think. I'm not telling you what my guru thinks. I don't have a guru. I don't have a pandit. The Quran says, do not take from among ourselves lords and patrons, that we only submit to Allah. Allah has guided me to humble myself before Him. Allah in the Quran tells us He is the only one who doesn't eat and doesn't sleep. Allah is the one, who is free of need. He points us out to recognize when we have taken authorities from among ourselves who eat and sleep. You understand? Nobody who eats and sleeps or goes to the toilet is anybody for us to focus on with excessive focus, strong feeling, exclusive attention. No human being. This is a process of releasing, living the effects of being Allah unconscious. You get what I mean? We've been Allah unconscious. And when you live Allah unconscious, you're either kufr, a denier, a concealer of truth. You're either mushrik, you're an associator of partners with Allah, or you're munafiq. And you will project power out onto somebody and something. You will deny Allah if you are kufr, if you are mushrik, and if you are munafiq. Munafiqs will say, no, we know the word Allah, we say it, we know the Prophet, we grew our beard, we go to the mosque on Friday, we read the Quran. But you don't know Allah, you haven't become Allah aware. Because if you are Allah aware, then in your heart, you'll feel it. That assurance, that reassurance. If you are aware of Allah, you will experience, especially in the remembrance of Allah, hearts experience assurance. My heart experiences assurance in the remembrance of Allah. You get what I mean? So the first and most important point I'm making here is that a lot of people don't want to see the error of where they currently are. A lot of people don't want to admit that all human beings are unaware and that we are to choose to support becoming aware. All human beings are insecure. We don't feel assurance in our hearts. But there is for us to experience assurance in our hearts, and we have to go from where we are to where we can be, that where we currently are is unconscious, that we are to become conscious, we are to become aware. Where we currently are is ignorant, superstitious, arrogant, feeling entitled, unappreciative. We got to begin to admit that about ourselves. A person who never knew God can admit that. I didn't know God and I can come to know God. A mushrik might be able to admit that, you know what, I've been worshipping Jesus. Jesus ate and slept and went to the toilet. Jesus didn't create himself. He didn't create me, but I've been worshipping them. I worshipped his mother. I denied the one power that is the cause of Jesus and his mother, the cause of us all, the continuum of us all. People who are mushriks, they can realize I worshipped a stone. I've been turning to a person. They can, but the munafiqs, very hard for them to admit they munafiqs, because they'll tell you, but we are praying every day. But we follow what we are following, which T-shirt to wear and which T-shirt to not wear. As far as I understand, the Prophet said regarding the attire of men, as long as you're covered from your navel to your knee, you are good to pray. From your navel to your knee. Minimum, because they were slaves at the time. They were poor people. Cover yourself from the navel to the knee if you're a man. You get what I mean? So, that's not enough anymore. No. Branding and this now. These people who are into religious expertise have gone into perversion, making stories about things that don't feature anywhere. And the people are going with them further and further lost into that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Where is Allah in all of this? Where is Iman in all of this? Ibrahim alayhi salam made dua. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi salam made dua. Keep us from shirk. Keep us from shirk. Keep us from associating partners. Keep us from shirk. You get what I mean? Because this is the world we live in. You look around you, you'll turn to somebody. You'll think they are your mother, your father. In the meantime, Allah created you with the ability to reason. Allah gave you the ability to reason. You might say, I don't want to reason. And the guru and the pandit will tell you, don't reason. Come to us, you can't reason. They won't tell you what Allah created you as the one who can reason and to reflect. And they won't tell you about Allah. And they won't tell you how to submit. They won't tell you what are the errors. What are the errors and the barriers to submission. They won't tell you. Because they are actually, and I'm generalizing and I understand that, but I haven't heard a single man in South Africa talk about Iman. They talk about Islam, but I haven't heard anybody on, championing us to have Iman in our hearts. I hear a lot of people saying, say you're a Muslim, whatever it is, the identity of... We don't even know what the identity of a Muslim is. How are you going to even know what the identity of a believer is? If you don't know the identity of a Muslim, a true identity, if I asked you, what is a Muslim? You get what I mean? You tell me a Muslim is one who doesn't wear a branded t-shirt when they pray. You know what I mean? That's a good Muslim, actually. A bad Muslim is one who doesn't put parda. When you get married, now the next level of your development is put parda. These are the modified Hindus. I'm not saying don't put parda. I'm not saying, you're dressing while you pray. I'm saying the modified Hindus are those who are remaining unaware, not drawing closer to God. They're not aware of Allah. They're not feeling secure. They're not choosing to draw closer to Allah. They just think they're right and they're just listening to the gurus and the gurus are telling them what to do. In the meantime, they are losers. They're losers. Why? They haven't chosen to become aware of Allah. They haven't chosen to experience assurance in their heart. They haven't chosen the way of peace. They have no clue what peace is. They don't know what they are. They don't know where they are. They don't know what's going on here. The Quran gives us all the answers to this question. Who our Creator is, how our Creator is to us. They're unaware. They've got ideas that somebody told them about what's in the Quran. They are not aware as adults of what the Quran is saying. They're not experiencing the message of the Quran. You get what I mean? This is what's... Look around you and you will see people that are unaware of God and not experiencing God consciousness. They are insecure. And they may remain. It might even have been who you were in the past, like me. It might be who you are now. But I'm here to tell you that there is beyond insecurity an opportunity for us to live securely. But you must admit that I am currently insecure. You must admit that. There's no peace in my heart. There's no assurance. There's no tranquility. Allah says, in the Quran, it is Allah that places tranquility in the hearts of the believer and expands them in tranquility as they are expanded in faith. Tranquility. If you have a head-based thinking, I'm right because I do the right things, those people are wrong because they don't do the wrong, they do the wrong things. I'm right because I follow what the Guru told me. Look at me, how I think, and look at me, how I dress, and look at me, what I do. Then you know you're playing with a limited awareness, you're living with a limited awareness and a limited experiencing. If you are not really being aware and you're not feeling supported, you're not feeling that you have everything that you require. If you are looking into the world and thinking, I need money, I need a man to look after me, some of these people in the Hindu, modified Hindu way, and I don't mean any offense to any Hindu person. If you ever listen to this and you're Hindu, I don't mean any offense. I'm just talking about those from India who had Hindu ancestry and say they are Muslims, but they are modified Hindus. I'm just talking about these people. They live like the people of India. The women are disempowered, trained to depend on their men. They think that's what being a good Muslim is. I must be a needy on my husband, woman. I must worship my husband, because that's what happened in India. You get what I mean? They don't know, worship Allah. Allah before yourself. Allah before the people in your life. Allah before your guru. Do you understand? People don't understand, and I don't want to try and make them understand anymore. It's either, the Quran says to the Prophet, that you're only a messenger, you're not a manager of the people. Give the message. The Quran also says, those who don't want to hear, who are astray, who worship Satan, they will not hear. They will not hear. You waste your time, the Quran is basically saying, on people who are hell-bent. Those who are in that Hindu identity, and they want to live as modified Hindus, and they have usurped and made a great travesty of the way of Islam, the true Islam, they got their own cult going. They got their own cult going. You can be part of that. I don't blame you. I was a part of that in this country. Obviously you're going to be in this country, you're going to look around you and think these people or whatever. But we are just in a country where this is the history of it. So what I'm saying to you is, I choose to accept that until I become Allah aware, actually I am not Allah aware. I choose to accept that there is for me to be Allah aware. And I want to become Allah aware. I don't want to think, oh, because I'm doing my rituals with my nice t-shirt or the right t-shirt, I'm good. I mean, I don't want to think like that. That it's all about rituals. Just do rituals. Just follow what they tell you to do. Blind faith. Islam is not for blind faith. It's not for blind followers. One of the saddest things is, I think, Indian people trying to show people what Islam is. It's one of the saddest things. I think it's the worst thing that has happened to Islam is not other people talking bad about Muslims. It's the Muslims misrepresenting, the so-called Muslims. The Islam is misrepresenting Allah, misrepresenting the Prophet, misrepresenting the Quran, misrepresenting Islam. It's the worst thing that I think has ever happened for Islam. And what we think, we're building more mosques, becoming for more modified Hindus to fill up those mosques. But where's the Iman? Where are the people in that mosque with Iman? Where is Iman being taught? That what it means to be a real believer. There are people entering those mosques and they are doing the most heinous of things. Their hearts are diseased, they are astray. But they are told, but you're a Muslim, you said the kalima. And they're like, yeah, we can do it, Allah forgives us. Hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. Like it's never been. These are not my people. These are not my people. I choose to be among the people of truth. The people who will stand by truth. I sin, I err. There's no doubt about it. But I am guided to humility before Allah. I choose to be humble before Allah, not humble before anybody. I don't owe anybody any explanation, not anybody in this world. The only person I'm answerable to is not a person. I'm answerable to no person. I'm answerable to my Creator. It is my Creator who guides me. It is my Creator who knows what's in my heart. It's my Creator who said to me, A'udhu Billah, claim refuge with Allah from Satan the accursed. I am sincere about claiming refuge with Allah from Satan the accursed. I choose to claim that refuge. I choose to go beyond ignorance and superstition and arrogance. I choose to be enlightened. I don't want to live superstitious, ignorant. I don't want to be a modified Hindu. You can carry on, all of you. I don't want to be a modified Hindu. While I'm alive, I want to draw closer to Allah. The Quran says, bow and draw closer to Allah. Become Allah conscious. I want to have Iman in my heart. I want to be strengthened with that Iman in my heart. I want to know what my true identity is. I want to be the highest life form that I can live with reason. I want to reason, but I'm not saying that you should want to reason. You could want to reason, or you could live lost and die lost and be raised up lost. Well, I choose to strengthen this year, my awareness of Allah, to humble myself even more before Allah. Allah has guided me to humble myself, to recognize I'm a created being. I couldn't cause myself. I didn't cause myself to be. We as human beings didn't cause ourselves to be. No guru caused me to be. No pandit caused me to be. I turn to the one who caused me to be, because of whom I am. I could do nothing to bring myself into existence. It is because of the mercy of the one who caused me to be, the mercy of the one who gave me guidance. God has given me guidance. Sufficient is the one who has given me guidance. Sufficient is the guidance of God who created me. I will not turn to any human being. I say A'udhu, not A'u, human being. I turn to Allah, claim refuge. Allah has guided me to claim refuge in Him from Satan the accursed. I choose to humble myself before Allah. Not guru worshipping and pandit worshipping and failing to humble myself before Allah. I choose to actually be humble before Allah. The Quran tells us it is to humble ourselves before our Creator, to bow in adoration. The Quran tells us it is for us to humbly be aware of Allah, that La ilaha illallah. There is none but Allah. There is only Allah. Allah alone actually is for me to be aware of and to focus on and feel about before anybody or anything. There's no plurality. There's no more than one. There is only one. There is Tawheed. Allah has guided me to Tawheed. You know what I mean? I am one who has accepted the guidance, the teaching that is Tawheed. There is only Allah. Allah alone actually exists beyond this world, because of whom this world exists. From our perspective before us, there is that one to be focused on beyond anybody and anything in this world, the Creator of this world. I will humble myself every day before my Creator. And the Quran guides us to recognize the power of Allah. It doesn't tell us find a good guru and recognize how smart he is and go to him to tell you how you should dress when you're doing your rituals, your prayers. You know, in Hinduism, your prayers. What prayers you're doing? I'm doing my prayers. Look and see the people who say they are Muslims but they're modified Hindus doing their prayers. And they're going to the gurus and how to do their prayers. Look and see, open your eyes and become aware. Are you one of them? That you may live in this world for the purpose that you are here to recognize Satan is the enemy avowed. That we are here to recognize Allah. We take nobody but Allah. Allah alone actually is, and we are to humble ourselves before Allah. And we are to recognize His power. This is what I want to do even more this year, to recognize the power of Allah, not the smartness of the gurus. What smartness, inverted commas. Allah alone is the knowing. Allah alone has power over all things. I wonder, did they call the Prophet Hakim? Did they call the Prophet Alim? Did they call the Prophet Hazrat? I'm just asking. Or any of the names of Allah. But yet, we are quick to call the gurus by the names of Allah. We made them gods. What do they know? Allah is the only know. Allah has power over return to who? For what? See, as a believer, you know who Allah is. And you know that your first relationship is with Allah. Before you, before your parents, before your children, before your siblings and spouses, before your gurus, your first relationship is with Allah. If a guru has guided you to Allah and have a first relationship with Allah, then that's not a guru. But if a guru has not done that, he wants you to have a first relationship, he wants you to come and depend on him, he wants you to be a child, he wants to tell you how to live, he wants to control you. That is a guru. Allah frees us through the Quran, guiding us to be conscious and aware. Get what I mean? So I'm guided to humble myself before Allah, to recognize Allah and to be humble. That I can't, no human being can know. That anybody who wakes up and sleeps and anybody who eats and goes to the toilet is nobody that has any authority. That nothing in this world has any power. Money can't make the earth spin. Money can't put a heart in my chest. Money can't give me eyes to see. Money didn't create me to exist. A job is not what people think it is. That there is Allah. And who Allah is to me and to all of us, I'm aware. Only not because of a guru, not because of my smartness, not because I went to university, because I asked Allah to guide me, and Allah hears and responds to those who worship Him, to those who believe in Him. I had a desire in my heart to be a winner in this world, to live and die as a winner and to be raised up as a winner. I don't want to be a kafir. I don't want to be mushrik. I don't want to be a munafiq. That's where we all start off. I was that. You can't say, Allah, keep me from being that, because you're already that. You've got to say, I want to become a believer. I want to become aware. I'm not aware now. I want to experience in my heart. From Allah consciousness, when you are humble before Allah and you have your unique relationship with Allah that you don't have with anybody else, that's what Tawheed is. And you're aware of what Allah has done for you and is doing for you when He can do for you. This is spiritual growth and development. And this is where you live as a spiritually developed human being in your relationship with Allah, with your spiritual practices with Allah. The people are not there, right? They're not there. And they don't know how to live in this world with amal. But Allah gave us the ability to apply ourselves, make choices that benefit us. People are not doing that. They're not receiving the Quranic message of halal and tayyib. They're harming themselves, their bodies, their lives, their afterlives. They're not relating to other people in a tayyib way, a wholesome, put love and compassion in your heart that you may dwell with each other in tranquility. The situation out there. Shukr to Allah, I'm here. So, Allah has guided us to recognize Him, to revere Him, to rejoice His graciousness. Basically, read the Quran, it says, become aware of Allah, humble yourself, bow and prostrate. When you become aware of Allah, you are in adoration of Him, praise Allah. You recognize that Allah has power over all things, sufficient for you. Are you more focused on Allah and humbling yourself before Him, or being a good boy or girl to a guru? I'm asking. Are you more interested in becoming aware of the power of Allah every day and feeling more assured and reassured with Allah? Or are you thinking it's up to you and the world or something else? Are you aware of what Allah has given to you, and are you grateful and thankful? Are you recognizing the privileging nature of Allah? Because this is what the Quranic message is. To become aware of Allah, to worship Allah, to humble yourself before Allah, to recognize the power of Allah, to be grateful to Allah, to be thankful to Allah, to work with Allah, to ask Him to forgive you, to experience His protection, to work with Allah, to be patient and allow Him to transform you, change your life, change things, to give you what you want. It guides you to recognize the power of Allah, to trust in Allah, to thank Allah, to invoke Allah. And that when you do as a believer, Allah responds to you. A lot of these people are not experiencing Allah, responding to Allah, because they don't trust in Allah, because they're not aware of the power of Allah. How can they, when they are just being, these children that haven't grown up and they haven't had a relationship with Allah. They turn to other people to be their fathers, instead of turning to Allah as the authority. So this is my purpose for the year. I don't know what your purpose is for the year 2024. But my purpose is beyond the insecurity, the security, that I experience that security to some degree. I choose to be expanded in this feeling of security. I choose this peace that is within me to be expanded. I choose to experience this harmony, this connection of assurance, that when I remember Allah, my heart experiences a greater assurance. I am assured, but I choose a greater assurance. I choose to live with being more secure as my priority for this year. Being being strengthened in my belief. So I can't talk to those who are not believers, but who, I'm talking now to those who are believers for this year. That's what I'm basically saying. If you have heard, if guidance has come to you, and you have chosen to submit, if you've chosen stop thinking like a child, turning to people and how you were living before guidance came to you, before you knew Allah, before you knew there was Allah, enough for you, sufficient for you, adequate for you, who you were turning to, where you were turning, how you were living before guidance came to you. And now that guidance has come to you, that there is beyond who you've been, how you've lived, what you've experienced, and you are choosing that, and you're a person of a'uzu, then you get the guidance of saying, no more like that. No more like this. This is before guidance came to me, this is how I lived in the world. Now that guidance has come to me, this is how I live in the world, focused on the Creator of the world, having an actual experience with my Creator, and enjoying that relationship with my Creator, having my Creator do only what He can do for me, that I can't do for me, and I can't do for anybody, and nobody can do for me. Allah has given us that ability to turn to Him and have Him do for us firstly, to acknowledge what He has done for us. We couldn't create ourselves to be human beings. We couldn't cause ourselves to continue in this world through our death and beyond. As Allah does. We can acknowledge that. He created us human beings. We can acknowledge, not the guru and the pandit. It's Allah. The relationship is with Allah. The prophets have guided us through the guidance given to them. They shared with us. They brought revelation. They brought the guidance through the revelatives. Allah, they guided us to Allah. So, for those of you who have guidance has come and you have begun to see the error of your ways and you're saying, no, I will correct. I want to withdraw my power projections and attributions of significance from this world. I really want to look beyond this world and see the creator of this world. I want to have a relationship. I want to say A'udhu so that I can go into Bismillah, that I choose to become aware of the wonderful nature of my creator. The wonderful nature, the sufficiency of my creator. To have that relationship and to experience being shown the error of your ways and correcting, continuing to correct from where you are. Allah guides us to see where we are in error, to correct. If you say, just guide me, but you don't want to see where you are in error and you don't want to correct, that means you are a hypocrite. So I've seen the error of my ways, and I choose to correct, and I have, and things are getting better and better for me in this world, and I choose the best of this world and the best of the hereafter as a believer. The most important thing is my relationship with my Creator and strengthening my relationship with my Creator. It's not the gurus and running them down. It's just that the Quran says, remind the believers, Prophet said, if you know any one thing, tell people about it. So, if you were like me and you're off track, people want to give guidance and invite people who are non-believers and disbelievers and associators and deniers to Islam. I think we have to invite the so-called Muslims, which are the real Islamis, the munafiqs, to Allah. I think we have to invite them. But I don't know if they will hear and they're capable of this level of reason. I don't know. If they want to reason at a higher level, if they believe that Allah has given them the ability to reason, or they just want somebody else to tell them what to do. And the Quran has verses about that. In the hereafter, and I'll end with this, that when you follow others who are astray and couldn't be enough for themselves and couldn't be enough for you, but you followed them, in the hereafter you will say, woe unto us, we followed you. And those people will say to you, the Guru and the Pandit will say to you, we couldn't help ourselves. Where could we have helped you? It means we needed Allah, we didn't turn to Him, and we didn't work with Allah. How can we help you? And then you'd say, I missed out an opportunity. But shukr to Allah, who guides those who want guidance. So shukr to all praise, glory, and thanks is due to Allah Almighty. His choicest blessings upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.